This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah,
This conference will now be recorded.
yeah. Hi guys. Good morning, good evening to everyone. So let's get started. Yeah. So let me share my desktop. Yeah. So we have talked about high-level perspective of other prompts, right? In the last session. Yeah. So we have seen like single shot prompt where we provide input, expect output, dialog in interactive mode, conditional prompt we can supply n number of conditions. Based on that, we can expect the response. Inference will be based on the base, and question answering prompt. It's purely based on specific questions. Yeah. So yeah, if you get into some examples here, single shot, write a poem, dialogue prompt, conversation between user and GPT, conditional prompt, get something based on some condition which is that don't require cheese, inference part which is based on something. For example, based on recent polls, who is the front runner for upcoming presidential election? Yeah, but as I said earlier, some of the prompts that we can see here, they're applicable for most recent data, but not for old dated data. No? So, but for now, we have this limitation. So that will be overwhelmed in the coming years, and not coming years, coming months might be. Yeah. After that, we talked about what are the key factors or elements that we need to consider while writing a prompt, right? So in this, we categorized n number of elements into three subcategories, right? Highly prioritized, mid-level, and low prioritized. Yeah. So for example, if you take a context, remember when you write a prompt, we need to make sure that on what basis we are writing it. It means a context. Like we talked about data warehousing or healthcare or pharma or telecom service providers or let's say HIPAA or let's say we have many other what do you call top level industries or domains or contexts, right? So, but from that we need to nail down to very specific context. So that is going to be the first and foremost thing that we need to take into consideration. Like an analysis we have just taken, right, in the context of warehousing. Yeah. Next, we need to take care what I call role or expertise. Yeah. So which means what? So we need to make sure that one, this we can think in two perspectives. One, are we expecting the response based on the role? That's one thing. And second, if you have deeper expertise on the specific context, then we can provide the right prompt. So these are the two perspectives we can think as part of this particular persona. No? And then verbs, we can also give some verbatims or some verbs through which we can guide the input to the GPT. Based on that, you'll get what output required. See, remember, all the GPT tools or language models, they are going to work based on the human's input. Remember, yeah. And if that input matches with whatever is trained by any GPT tool or language model, you'll get the response. If there is no, or let us say, text or content corresponding to your input, right, then you'll not get any response. So you'll get a message saying that unable to provide the response for your input. Yeah. So see, 100% nothing can be guaranteed. So either say 100% can't be guaranteed with this particular any GPA tools, but most of the cases you will get the response. Most means what? More than 95 percentage, we can say. Yeah. Now length and output also we need to think, guys. That is specific element, we can say. For example, let's say if you try to ask generate question, you'll get too many lines of code or too many lines of content. So it is very difficult to read and infer like what it says. Instead, we can specify the descriptive content with a specific length like 100 characters or 1000 characters with a specified output type. Output type could be anything. Let's say we have, let's say, even with a delimiter, without delimiter, such things also we can specify. Based on that, you'll get corresponding response. For example, read the data from a file which satisfies with what you call one comma delimiter. Second, the number of characters per row. So based on that, you'll get the response. That's one of the specific example that we can think as part of length and output type. See, I'm trying to repeat this because these are the very, very important elements, guys. If you know this, so most of the cases you can supply the right input. And task and objective. So we need to define or we need to have a goal setting. Based on that, we can ask or we can provide a description as part of the prompt, and this description could be a short description, a long description, or it could be even few words. Yeah. So which means what, depending upon, let us say, the business expectation, we can supply one word or two words or sentence or paragraph or summary information plus, or it could be n number of pages, it could be anything. So but that anything should be based on what goal. What is our goal? To meet that, we can supply any input here. Yeah. Then the next question, tone, I think we talked about it. This is applicable in some context, but not for all the context. And the primary thing that we need to think is target. So, for example, if we take warehousing as we discussed earlier, so there are multiple stakeholders, right, while building data warehouse, right, from analyst or data analyst or stewards or SMEs or developers or managers, senior managers, intransit. There are multiple stakeholders, right? So, but within that also, if we take only analysis, then we'll have only one or two stakeholders. So that we need to keep in mind while asking for question. Yeah. So that's a very, very important thing, guys. Target audience is going to be the key input before we supply any input to this any GPT tool. Yeah. Reference, yes. This is one of the important thing, especially for people who are very lazy, right? In that case, what we can do, even references also we can get it from GPT. Then use that reference as input to get the response. Remember, so which means what, you don't need to even gather the references by googling it or whatever, right? You don't need to do that. Even reference also can be obtained from GPT tools. Then take that as input to get the corresponding response. Yeah. Purpose, I think we talked about it. So goal setting or intention of providing a prompt, and then expectation. Keywords, yeah. I think this is one of the important thing, guys. So depending upon the context or specific context that we deal with, we need to provide the right terms. That is why what I call, if you want to provide the specific prompt, so for that, so we need to understand the right terminology that we use for a specific area within the warehouse. Yeah. So then underlying concepts we need to understand, then use those keywords as input to get corresponding response. Yeah. So this is a very, very important thing, guys, this and context, because if you don't understand the terms, yeah, specific to any uh, specific context, then there is a chance to make a mistake from our end while providing a prompt. Yeah. So Additional thing is optional in case if you want to supply beyond the normal prompts. So we can just provide additional information as a clue to get the exhaustive information from GPT. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So major things are context, keywords, and you can say length and output, expert persona. No? Or we can say context and keywords. They are the very, very important things, guys. Yeah? So rest, then target is also next level of importance because if we try to supply the prompt which can be beneficial for the right target people, then you'll get the right response. Yeah? You can also ask. So let's say um, so generate the response or write a code to generate the response from a given flat file data to perform column profiling in the context of business analyst. That's one prompt, one role wise or target audience we just specified. And second, input from where we specified. Then what is expected as objective also specified. This is how we can form a prompt based on what more than one key element of what we discussed. After that, we also talked about structure and format of a prompt. Yeah. So, like what kind of format that we can specify, or do you want a different language, or do you want to change the length of words, or do you want to rearrange the content? I think we talked about it in a chronological order or reverse chronological order, whatever, right? Or we can also supply what you call convert the content into a script for video or whatever, right? So we can supply what I call so very specific with respect to what structure and format. Yeah. So that is required in the context of warehousing, right? So there are multiple elements that we can consider. So I've just picked up the ones that are relevant for the data warehousing. See, this GP, this AI is very exhaustive. So we just have to focus on based on our context. Yeah, we don't need to understand everything because we need to understand based on what is our goal. So goal setting here is what? That's a warehouse. Yeah. So the tone of a prompt also we talked about it. Yeah. So like what all we can consider as part of it. Like for example, utilize rhetorical devices to emphasize important points, which means instead of we doing it, we can also ask physical devices or virtual devices to supply the input to the GPT so that we can get the response. So which means we have got bunch of physical devices or we can also build our own virtual device. Through that we can just make the things automated with a GPT. Remember, yeah. So which means your job also we can make it to happen by building what virtual device. So I'll try to show one. So which means let's say we work let's say around 9 hours. Yeah. So if you just spend half an hour to 1 hour, rest all will be taken care by virtual device. You can spend rest of 8 hours time for something else. Yeah. So that much also could be done by using what GPT tools. Yeah. So because see now the AI is not that mature, right? It's not immature, or at the same time it's not that matured also. Yeah. So we are in halfway, right? So which means it's the right time to enter and then what you call spend time for something else by building these virtual devices. Yeah. So references part, I think we talked about it, and adjectives of verbs also we talked about it. So mainly here, the focus point here is what? Audience. Yeah. So depending upon the context, we need to uh, identify the target audience, like students, investors, whoever it is. Once you identify, then then we can supply the prompt. Let's say purpose, based on which purpose we are going to provide a prompt. Example, to convey information about a subject or event to the reader. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Now let us talk about input and output format. We have not discussed about it. So let us start from here. Yeah. So let look at here, guys. So I think I just said earlier, so we can supply the prompt. One, it could be a single character, or it could be set of characters, or it could be set of words, or it could be set of sentences, or it could be set of paragraphs, or it could be set of pages, or it could have what you call embedded references within pages. So the input could be of any form. Plus, if you get into this what you call non-textual stuff like images and also audio and also video files, so anything can be taken as input to this particular what you call GPT tools. But what it doesn't support, especially some of the most of the AI tools or AI language models, they don't take the binary data as input. For example, let us say you produced some zippable form, or let us say zippable form it supports binary form like executable or .lib or .dll dynamic link library, or it could be .so which is a dot shared object, or it could be what we call .trn which is transfer files. Likewise, we have got multiple files which are in binary form. Yeah, or you would have used .ysp files, right? I think population data, you would have seen it, right, in data quality or MDM, right? Yes or no? So which means what, if we have such kind of binary format which can't be understood by ourselves straight away, so that can't be understood even GPT tools also. So that is a violation actually. That might be the reason why they are not supporting that. Yeah. But anyway, let us talk about some of the few inputs. Example sentences. Sentence means set of words. Yeah. Yes, yes. So we can have one paragraph or set of paragraphs. Paragraph one or two. Bullet points. We can have one, two or three bullet points. Number list, we can have n number. Likewise, you can think of many. I think I talked about single character, multiple characters, multiple words, all that, right? That's a sequence. So which means what, we can supply single character to 92 pages of content. Yeah. So I talked about lower limit and also upper limit, but they'll extend. For now, let's say it supports 92 pages, which is ChatGPT especially. Yeah. So now let us talk about the response, which is the output. So you'll get what? Yes, yes, which means what? We can ask some question. So write essay associated to some, let's say, what do you call, some pharmaceutical industry, or some other anything. You'll get a response based on that question. Case studies. He can ask for case study in one sentence. Write, uh, provide one case study associated to data warehousing, or associated to analyst, or associated to stewards, or associated to something else. See, this case study could be based on one domain, or a context, or a role, or expertise, or it could be subcontext. So, depending upon the question that we are going to put, role wise question, or domain wise question, or subcontext question, or context question, you'll get what corresponding case study generated. Yeah. So, which means we don't need to think too much. So, we just have to think or apply what we call simple analytical expertise and provide input so that it will generate case study accordingly. So that will become as a base to build a solution, right? Yes or no? Now the review part, guys. Let us say we have built a solution. So we need to ask for review from high level or authorized people. For example, you modified some data, and that particular data should be approved by appropriate authorized person. Example, developer with a business analyst. developer has built some rule which need to be reviewed by business analyst. So developer, whatever it produces, right, result of some rule, which is a mathematical expression, will send that as a input to what business analyst. Just like we talked about dialogue prompt, right? So we can make application developers to collaborate with business analysts through GPT. So which means we can also perform review by using what? GPT. Remember that. We talked about dialogue prompt. That's an example. Yeah. So the next is what? Summary. Remember, guys, let us say we have got 92 pages of input text. Now convert 92 pages, what you call document, into what? A 10 line or one page uh, content. It will provide it. That's a summary we call, right? So it's just like abstract, which means we are trying to convert detailed information to what? Abstract form or summary form we call, right? So we can also provide that. Yeah. So likewise, you can think of many examples, guys. So depending upon, see, this is just some bullet points only. So I'll add some more things. Let us say we provide mathematical expression as input to this GPT. Yeah. Then we will expect what? The corresponding result from that particular mathematical expression. For example, as we all know that in investment banking, they follow what? Basel specification or Basel standards, like a Basel 1, 2, or whatever, right? For each of those Basel standards, we have got corresponding statistical equation. Then we can provide some statistical data as input to this particular statistical equation. So based on that, we can get what? Corresponding response. For example, since the last 10 years, let's we have got some data. And then based on that, we need to make use of this particular statistical equation for Bessel 2. Then calculate the exposure. So that also we can do it by using what? GPT. So that much is not given as part of this particular slide. But yes, we can extend. These are just clues to what we call supply the input, a right input to GPT. That's it. But we can expand beyond what we have over here, right? So now the next question, social media post. As we all know that, see, you might have blogs or you might be very active person in any social media site, especially LinkedIn or whatever, right? Twitter or whatever, right? Now the question, if you want to generate a post automatically based on your mood, right? So, which means what? Tone. We can also generate a post and it will be sent to appropriate social media. So, we know like how to talk to social media without logging on to this particular site. Remember that, which means AI is going to help us to talk to appropriate social media site. We need to write a code for it. I'll show like how to do that. So then automatic posting also would take place based on our mood. Remember that. In such cases, we can use what? Tone or tone prompt, we can say. Yeah. And product description. Remember, guys, so let's say we have a bunch of products. Now, let us say, get me the detailing information about Triangle, a product which is produced by, let's say, Kia Motors, one of the automobile company, right? So now, because they would already kept the kind of input to produce triangular shape of product, right, in internet somewhere. What GPT does, it is going to pull that data and provide you the description for a specified product, which is a triangular product. Yeah. So likewise, you can see we'll get lots of probable solutions also because Kia Motors, the way they do manufacturing, it might be different from other manufacturing companies. We have got a bunch of manufacturing companies in the world, right? Yes or no? So which means you'll get multiple probable options for the same product. Now you are the best judge to take a call, like what would be the right, what you call information or content that can be taken as a base to perform or to build your own stuff. Remember that, which means what, with GPT you could get what, very good information across all the what you call companies all over the globe. But that is very difficult with a Google. Remember that, yeah. So that's where we can obtain product description and sales. Yeah, remember guys, so now let us say I'm weak in marketing, or some company they are weak in what, marketing. Because of that, sales would not take place, though they have got what we call content based product. Yeah, so which means in that case we can ask GPT to provide recommendations so that these people, small companies, they can market and then get into what, more sales. For example, I think you all know, especially if you take Informatica product suite, right? We have got MDM product, right? Formerly, it was known as Siberian XU versions. So this, when this product was with Siberian company, they treated that as what, farmer-driven product, and they have just undervalued that product. Now, after Informatica acquired that product, right? So they named it as what? Informatica MDM. The sales have grown like exponential manner because these guys are very good with respect to what? Marketing. As a result, lot of sales happen for that particular product. That's a simple example, like how this GPT is going to help us, what you call, so like companies like a Siberian. So this is a realistic example that we all know, right? Yes or no? So similarly, we can also write newsletters about updates. So you don't need to write it. So let's say I'm part of manufacturing or producing some products in a manufacturing company. Now, if you just apply, let's say provide me some description so that I can just put it in a website as a newsletter. You can just ask GPT, it will produce. Then, if it is relevant for you, it's okay. Or else fine tune that particular prompt till you get your expected newsletter and then just post it. It's over. It is that easy actually, which means what? So life has become more easier with AI tools. Remember that, yeah. So that's about second bullet point. And third one is what? Business plans, memos preparation, contractual agreements, proposal preparation, all that, right? They're all business tasks. Yeah? For example, let us say there are three companies. So I think let's take one realistic example, India, right? So we have got UID, right? When this product was started, who was heading? Nanda Nilakaran, right? Infosys, one of the co-chairman, right? So that time, what has happened was the multiple competitors from India itself. Let's say TCS, Mindtree, Infosys, even Infosys also went, and also IBM, all that. So they have all gone with their own business plans, you know, and they prepared proposals and sent to UID team, and who they agreed to with whom they built a product. So with Mindtree. So because of many factors. So those factors also are optimal factors also. We can get it from what, GPT, which means if we want to build our own optimal, what we call, business plan, corresponding memo, contractual agreement, business proposals, all that also we can get it from what, GPT. So which we don't need to think too much. We just have to ask question. Rest will be taken care by what we call GPT tools. In the sense, our what we call approach should be changed from earlier to now. Earlier, our focus point was preparation of a content. Now the focus point is what? What we expect as part of the content. Input to content is going to be the focus point. Earlier, focus was on content. So now our focus point totally should be changed. Remember that. Yeah. Next is what? Yeah, like creative writing. like a novels or poems or short stories or long stories or scripts or narrations, whatever, right? We can think many, and some are listed here. So, which means what? So nowadays we can just create a novel within minutes or max hours, not more than that. Olden days, we have to spend what? Days or months, sometimes years. If you take olden days, right? 20, 30 years back, they had to spend a lot of time, at least years only. Nowadays, within minutes or even hours, we can create a novel, provided you just have to specify some input. That's it. Poems also you can write it. So you don't need to remember all that now. Those days are gone. So our memory doesn't have any meaning nowadays. Remember, yeah. So then what do we have meaning now? Just suppress some input. That's all. Yeah? You don't need to memorize poems or poetry stuff or whatever, right? We don't need that. We just have to supply the input. So write a poem, let's say between A and B person or some other uh, different kind of behavioral people or animals, whatever, right? You can ask any kind of question. So based on the question, you'll get what appropriate poem written in any language, any means supported language from what I call GPT. Yeah? Similar short stories also. So like example, I think many people are very attracted towards cinematic stuff, right? So we can also nowadays, so you don't need to put a lot of brain. You can just ask GPT to create a story, yeah, like Bahubali movie, whatever, right? So now we don't need to think too much because see there is already trained content which is part of GPT, right? If you ask for it, you'll get the response. So which means what? Our memory doesn't have meaning nowadays. Yeah? Earlier, we used to put in a lot of effort to memorize things like a by heart or remember through some means or whatever, right? So that is not required at all nowadays. Yeah, that's why education doesn't have any meaning nowadays. So if you're a really intelligent person, so you don't need to send, let us say, your children for any education, any schools or college, whatever. Maybe it's just to get a foundation, second, third, or let's say till up to mature level. That fifth stands more than enough. After that, everything is at home. So you'll get most latest information than what we get it from schools or colleges. So those things doesn't have any meaning nowadays, right? So this kind of thing we can also what you call take care from home itself. You don't need, yeah. But socialism, those things you might get it from what do you call colleges or not. But for that, we can think some other approach rather than schools, getting into schools, making a lot of payment. And nowadays, it has become too much business. Yeah. So without making a payment, also you can get the job done through some other means. Yeah. Anyway, so now the question, so another output formats, guys, like reviews. I think we talked about it here, and then cover letters. You can also write a cover letter or note of thanks or whatever. Yeah, note of thanks. Sorry, CV's preparation, resume preparation, script preparation, invoice preparation, email preparation, all that. So which means, see, wherever you can say in general line, wherever there is a content creation required, we can take the help from GPT. It's as simple as that. So, these are some of the examples given here, but we can think anything, yeah, and create content for. For example, let's say you want to build one website. Now, do we need to build it like what we did earlier, like by using WordPress or HTML or JavaScript or some other scripting knowledge through which we can build what we call a website? No. So we have AI tools to get the job done. Or let's say you don't have AI tool, then ask GPT. So I want this, or not. Some bullet points, some about us, contact us, then product details or whatever, right? Some just input. Rest all will be generated by GPT tool. We just have to go copy and paste so that website will be ready. That's all. For example, let's say generate a website based on HTML or generate a website based on what? JavaScript with HTML. Then to generate, copy and paste, job is done. It was not that cool earlier, you know. But anyway, we have AI tools. If you just use AI tools, apply the input there, the generated what you call website. It was there earlier, but now it is much more easier. So likewise, we can think of many examples, guys. Remember, yeah, for a given input could be from one character to 92 pages. So lower limit, upper limit, I have said it. In between, it could be single word, multiple words, sentences, set of sentences, essays, whatever, right? So it can be anything. Then output could be one of this form. Some are listed here, but it could be the form that is expected based on the target audience and purpose and then expectation. Once you have it, then you'll get corresponding output. And that's it, guys. Input and output format. So now let us start getting into what the introduction to act as an expert. Yeah. So now the first thing, context. Example, data warehousing. So you need to have expertise on that particular field. But I would say even that's also not required. Yeah, because let's say you ask for question how to become expert within a day in data warehousing. It will just give what some bullet points in PPT form, whichever form that you expect. Yeah, then identify those bullet points and then create a tree we will call. Then from that you can understand, that's it. Yeah, then if you have, it's okay, but it's not mandatory. Remember that. Yeah, now the next question, provide information or insight. Once you are expert, right, it's just like we can provide any information. I would say it's not information actually, it's a data. Yeah. Providing data, information endpoint, right? Yes or no? Which means we convert data to what? Usable form, which we call information. This is a wrong word, guys, here. Provide data or insights. Yeah. And the next thing is what? Provide based on this particular data, we can design what? Prompt. That prompt could be based on, or prompt could be any form. It could be for analysis or quality, whatever, right? In the context of data warehouse. Then once you supply or design a prompt, we can supply that input to GPT. Then you'll get what response generation. That's it. Based on the expectation. Expectation is derived from, it could be based on target audience, which means a role wise, or it could be based on what some end expectation without role also. Yeah. So that's it, guys. In simple terms, for a given input, we expect the response. For that, if you have expertise and providing input, it's okay and get the response. That's it. Yeah, like how one can start what you call following the sequence of one building a prompt and second getting the response. Yeah? That's it. This you should never forget, guys. Especially this, I've just kept it based on what data warehousing context, because we pick up one field, right, like analysis field, then identify data that we key in, like flat file or table, whatever. Then from that flat file, what do we expect? Let's say column profiling. So we design a prompt for column profiling. Then expectation is what? Identify what we call some issues. That's expectation. Then based on that, you'll get what? Response. So that's one simple flow that we can follow as part of data warehousing context. Likewise, you can think of many. I'm not talking about other than warehousing, guys, because you'll get into confusion more. Let us stick to only one and get deeper insights to that. So that is going to be the what I call key focus point for us. Yeah? So now let us talk about what I call key elements for creating act as an expert prompts. Uh, So which means what? While providing a prompt, what all do we need to think? What I call to build a prompt and get expertise. Yeah? For example, first thing what we could see here is build a website, what we call expertise, based on what the context that we deal with. For example, our context is based on what? Data warehousing. Within that, we are focusing on analysis. Remember this. In this case, they have just kept some example like a medicine or law, whatever, right? That's a different context altogether. Yeah. And then provide a context, which is specific context, I can say, instead of simple context, a specific context. And target audience, in our case, let us say business analyst or data analyst. Yeah. So yes, for example, if you take researcher, right? Let's I'm into researcher actually primarily. So let me take one example. Let us say we are trying to build one product, which is a enhanced form of existing products. For example, let's say we already have got multiple robots in the market. Yes or no? Some will do kitchen activities, some will do agriculture activities, some will do some other activities. But they can't perform everything, right? So we can just add a delta to existing robot. Yeah. So that delta would be taken care as part of research people, right? To get that idea, right? Then we can ask a prompt, we can provide a prompt to GPT so that you'll get some delta from GPT result. Sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you have to think and add some delta to that. Yeah, which means like olden days, right? We don't need to put in a lot of effort to identify delta. Nowadays, it's very easy to identify the delta based on what you call GPT because we have what you call lot of information which is spread across multiple parts of internet, right? Yes sir. We just need to what you call provide the right input. For example, in our case, let's say we have a board which takes care of what we call cultivation. Not what we need. We need, let's say, intercultivation. For that, you will get what clues or delta information as a result of this particular GPT. That can be what we call taken as a base in order to build our own product to build our intercultivation activities. That's a simple example. So likewise, you can think of what we call many what we call target people, and based on that, we can ask question to GPT to get the result. Yeah. So expected output, I think we talked about many forms like table form or Excel sheet form or let's say role-based form or case studies form or even information form or you can think many forms. Yeah. In our case, let us say result of column profiling in tabular form. Yeah. That's one expected output. For example, identify the issues from a given source system to identify what we call duplicates. So our result is what? Non-duplicate data. That's it. Simple. Yeah? In tabular form. So that's it, guys, about what I call introduction to act as an expert. Yeah? Now this part is optional, guys, for us because SEO, which is search engine optimization, this is required when you try to focus on what website. I think I said it right earlier. If you want to build a website from the scratch, we can provide input to the what we call GPT. So we are going to get what we call complete HTML code or HTML with JavaScript through which we can build what we call website. Yes, sir. Once we are done with that, now we need to optimize that particular website so that we could able to see optimal form of website so that if someone searches, right, our website appears in a first page or second page, whatever, right, depending upon how well you optimized based on what tags or keywords or a title or content with specific words. If you take care of these four things as part of SEO, so you could optimize our website so that it appears in what first or second or third within let's say top 10 pages. Yeah? So that's it. Yeah, which means what that for that also we can ask GPT to provide what even keywords or tags, a right title, the right content, all that we can also get it from what GPT. See how easy is that? Earlier we used to think a lot. Now it's very easy. Yeah. So, but we know because we are more experienced, right? Since many years we are in this market, right? We know like what it was let's say 20 years back and what it is now. If we compare, no, we can say there's exponential change. between, let us say, 20 years back, what it was against with current things like whatever is happening in the market. Yeah. Now, let us take, yeah, so we all know that Linux is one of the Unix flavor, right? So now the question, we using Linux, we can perform what? System-based activities, or we could also perform user-based activities because we have got different types of users, right? System users or operating system users plus user-defined users like normal users, right? Yes or no? So now the question, if you want to perform issuing any commands to any Linux operating system, you don't need to remember like what we used to remember earlier. For example, so file-based commands, yeah, like cat, open, close, all that, right? And we got process-based commands, PS, process status, all that we have. Then we have got direct-based commands, dir, ls, whatever, right? Then we have got many commands, pattern-based commands, grep, egrep, fgrep, awk, set, whatever. So we have got multiple commands. We all know that. We learned, we did it, but olden days. Now we don't need to remember. That memory is not thought, doesn't have any meaning. That's what I said. So here we can just ask, okay, I want to list what you call files and directories. If you just ask for it, it will give us the command. Just go and copy and paste. That's over. Job is done. Yeah. Example here you can see PWD, which is present working directory. Right? See, if you just go and copy that, you'll get this present working directory. So likewise, you can supply any input, guys, pattern-based commands or process-based commands or file-based commands or directory-based commands or copy commands or move whatever the command that you want. You can just ask for it; it will give us the result. So which means you don't need to remember. Yeah, those days are gone. Yeah. So now the next question: act as an English translator. Yeah. So I think this we'll talk about later. So let's do some practical examples. Yeah. So you get bored. Yeah, fine. Let us start with what single short prompt. That's where we started, right? Which means we'll just supply simple text as input, which does not cross its online, let us say. Then you'll get corresponding response. Yeah. So now let us say it is always advised. We are talking about warehousing, right? So to build a warehouse solution, right, we should always take the help from what some language, programming language, right? So we'll try to what you call provide these prompts, yeah. So through that we can generate a code and run that code to build our solution, yeah. So any kind of area in data warehousing, yeah. For example, write a Python code. Why we are taking out Python code, right, guys? Because one of the topmost language which can act as what? Structure language or procedure language or object oriented language and scripting language, which means one language has got many. Like our olden days, for object orientation, one language, for procedural, one separate language, for scripting, separate language. Example, shell scripting, right? We have bash shell or simple shell, bourne shell or C shell or K shell. They are for interactive operations, interpreters, right? Then if you go with the programming language, procedure language, C plus C, let us say. Then object orientation means Java. Yeah. So which means for each of them we had separate languages, a separate programming language. Now we got only one which takes care of all, which is what? Python. Not only that, it has got many pre-built modules which are much more advanced over other programming language. That is why we are trying to pick up Python because we don't care, right? Which language that we use, we don't care. As long as we could able to get the result of what we expect to build warehouse solution, that's fine. But we need what? Finer or cost effective or performance effective solution. To get there, we can go with what? Python. So that's why I'm trying to refer what? Python, guys. But as I said earlier, so existing tools like if you take Informatica tools or even IBM tools or even Talend open source, they're all built based on what? Java. Java is also not that great compared to Python, right? Because with respect to anything, Python is much or far superior over what Java we can say. Yeah. So now write a Python code to carry out analysis. To carry out, I'll just put generic prompt. Yeah. To carry out column analysis, yeah, for business analyst, from a given input file. Let us say file we are going to supply. Let's say c colon slash source slash seq underscore one dot txt, yeah, with a comma delimiter, right? So now let us talk about it. This is to build a solution for what? To carry out column analysis. So this is very specific to analyst layer, right? And role also we are trying to specify. Target audience is what? Business analyst. And input data is what? That's why input information we saw in that diagram, right? That's not information, guys. Information means what? We take data, raw data, apply logic, build warehouse, that will be taken as input, then generate a report that will form as a base to information. Remember, we are trying to convert raw data to what? Information which can be used to take a decision. So which means we are converting data to what? Information. For what? To take a decision. So decision point is based on information, not based on data. So that's why we need to use what? Data term here, information in different context. Yeah? And this data contains what? Comma delimiter, let us say. This is the specific input, guys. Example role wise, specific context wise, and also data. Now let us see. So instead of executing, I'll just talk about it like what it contains. Yeah. Remember, guys. So most of the things can be done, but every tool will have some limitation, right? Yeah. So nothing is perfect in the world. Yeah. So even GPT also will have some limitations here and there. Yeah. But but to overcome those limitations, we can just resolve it by using GPT only. How? We will see. Yeah. So in this particular generated code, right? Let's understand why we have it is trying to import CSV, guys, because our file format is what? Structure and format we discussed, right, as part of one of the slide. What is our format we are trying to use here? CSV. So Python has got a separate module to deal with what? CSV files. Remember that. Yeah. And next, collections is one of the module. Collections means like a vector or a list or a map or a tuple or array or any what you call derived type we call. Derived type means what? They are the types which are inherited from built-in types like a string or numerics. Remember, yeah? Array means it's a derived, right? Based on what? List of integers of same type or list of items of same type. List of items of same type means list of items of integer type, list of items of string type. That's an example of one collection. So likewise, you can think of many. Fine. And statistics. Why? For example, we are trying to get what you call analysis results, right, from the business analyst role perspective. Yes or no? For that, it has to produce some results, right, like aggregation results or whatever, right, statistics. That is why Python has got pre-built module, which is statistics module, which in turn has got methods to generate statistics. This much we don't have it in Java, guys, but because I know both. I know Java, I also know Python very well. So from that perspective, statistics has got very advanced methods which are not part of Java. Yeah, fine. Now the question def is defining this function, right, which is taking file path. We get the file path, right? So now before that we can go to directly the bottom where they're making a call. Can you see? Any programming language will have an entry point of main. Similarly, Python also has got entry point is main, which is starting point of this executing instructions from this code. Yeah. So now the question, see, it is taking the path. We give that path, right? as a reader mode. Yeah. Then read CSV. This is a method which is derived from, we imported CSV, right? Import CSV. From that you will have this particular method which takes what? File path. This is the file path. Yeah, which is our, we separate that path, right? Then see, we asked for column analysis. Can you see here? Yes or no? By supplying the data which is file data. So this function is reading and putting it what? Intermediate object or intermediate variable, you can say, that will be taken as input to column analysis. Now the question, we can go to read CSV method and see what it does. So read CSV method. Yeah, can you see here? This guy is, this is a body. That's just a caller, right? So they called that. Then in this, it is opening a file in a read mode and reading the line by line from that file and store that in what? Intermediate variable, and read or traverse each and every row and append this to what? Data, which will contain list of items or list of elements and return that particular data. That's it. Which means data is a bundled form of the results that is read from this particular file. That's it. Now, after that, they are calling what? Column analysis. That's our expectation, right? To do that, what is it doing here? Look at here. It is trying to what we call read the data to transpose the data to work with the columns. Transpose means what? Convert columns to rows or rows to columns. Remember that. Which means if we have given the data in a different form, that will convert to chatgpt understandable form. Then it is making use of what? List. It's one of the collection. Yeah. So in that, it is trying to zip the code that we provide. It's a pointer to data because this data is already produced here, right? Yes or no? That will be taken as input over here. Input means we are supplying here. So if you go here, so we are supplying column data, it is returning data, right? So this column analysis is taking data as input. That's it. Now control goes over here and start executing this step-by-step instructions. So now analysis is going to be intermediate what we call object, where we can store the result of this particular column analysis. Now let us look at here. This is for loop. It is going to enumerate all the columns that you can see here, right? Yeah. Then remember in Python also we've got exception handling, where any anonymous code will be kept as part of this particular try block. Yeah, where it will just take care of let's say float values, mean value, median, mode, standard deviation. These are all what? Statistics. That's why we have used statistic module right in the top. Yeah, so our output of that will be stored in analysis. This is the what you call declared part earlier. That's it. Any error that happens over here, right, with respect to what? Mean, mode, median, whatever, right? So it will throw error message. And return value is what? Analysis. Because that's where we are storing the result of this statistics. That's it. So once you are done with that, then they are capturing the results of this column analysis in this particular object. And now, once you are done with that, so it is trying to what iterate all the items that we have under this particular analysis object and start displaying the data. One column, second mid, third median, fourth mode, and fifth standard deviation. That's it. These are the aggregated what do you call results, right? We all know them. So we can add some more, extend above with some average, first, last, max, min. They're also part of statistics, right? If you want what you call even those things as well, we can also fine tune that code. But by default, it is going to produce what? The column analysis results for this what you call measure statistical functions, mean, mode, all that, right? So that's it, guys. How we execute, that's a very simple thing. Then it will start executing from here. Control goes here, calls and execute these two functions and get the result and display it on the console. So that's what is happening as part of this particular block of statements in this code. Yeah. Any questions, guys? This is the first example we understood from a given input prompt. We just focused on what simple text we supplied as input, and we got the code generated. So now if you run it, you'll get what? Column analysis results. That's all. It's very, very easy. So you don't need to know any tool also. If you know, it's okay, but it's not mandatory. you know. So that's it, guys. Like how to supply what I call simple text as input to the GPT so that we could obtain the result of column analysis. We'll execute it on tomorrow's session and then start getting into one by one, guys. Like we talked about single shot prompt or few shot prompt or we got dialogue prompt, conditional prompt, all that we discussed, right? We'll talk about with the practical examples for all such type prompt so that you'll get better understanding. Fine, right? Yeah. Any questions from anybody? Amar, Ravi, Santosh, Sridhar, Suresh.
Sir, when you say next class tomorrow, is it when do we have the class, sir?
Yes, we can have tomorrow, Sridhar, because we missed two sessions, right? Monday and Tuesday. We'll cover that gap if you're okay.
Tomorrow will be yeah.
I leave it to you. You can take a call, Sridhar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 days I'm busy. These 2 days.
You can check up
Yeah,
yeah, guys. I think you guys can take a call. Yeah, and let me know by an email so that we'll go for it. Yeah.
probably only Sundays are same as Monday. Maybe next class.
Fine. Fine. Anything is fine. Just send an email to me. Yeah. Fine.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thanks to